It was Zane Retherford at the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, Dave Schultz HS Excellence Award winner. Just talk about your thoughts when you got the phone call and the Hall of Fame said, hey, we'd like to recognize you as a wrestler and as a student athlete. I know you work really hard at your wrestling, but that had to have been kind of unique for you, huh?
Yeah, it was really unique. I was really excited when I got the phone call, and it was something I knew that was out there. I know Masa got it last year, and I watched videos of Dave Schultz, very good competitor, very good. He's a legend of our sport, so commemorating him, I was excited to get the award.
Let's talk a little bit about how you got into wrestling. I mean, you're from Pennsylvania, they know a little about wrestling, but everyone has a story of how they find out about the sport. How did you become a wrestler?
I started out in kindergarten. Both my parents, they ran track, so they weren't really into wrestling. They didn't know what wrestling was all about. And one of my buddies got me out for wrestling in kindergarten, and my parents we ran a produce stand when I was a little kid, so I went to my first tournament after a couple practices, and I just got flopped. I remember I got pinned twice, and I was crying, but I said, you know what, he didn't want me to do it anyway. He said, you know what, we got work to do, so if you're going to cry, we got work to do. So I asked him to come out the next year in first grade, and he said, nope, you're not doing it, you're going to cry again. We're working this year. He said, come back to me next year. So in second grade, I came back to him. I said, Dad, I really want to wrestle. He's like, you going to do it hard? I said, yeah, I'm going to do it hard. He's let me go wrestle. So, I mean, the threat of working really,
yeah,
it was better than working. Wrestling's better than working.
Well, it's a lot of work, though. When did you realize you really liked it and wanted to get excellent at it?
Right away. I never liked losing, even when I was in kindergarten, obviously. I was crying and stuff. I hated losing. And just my dad always would tell me, we have other stuff to do. If you don't want to wrestle, we got tons of work to do, and we grew all kinds of pumpkins and produce. So
sure.
So working on the farm, I couldn't wait to get on the wrestling mat. Most people think of it like a job, but it's a fun job. I really enjoy it.
Now, talk a little bit about coaches or other wrestling people that helped you become good, that were influences on making you not just a wrestler but a champion.
Well, in about fourth grade, I started getting more serious, and I met this guy. His name's Vunawin. He was one of our guys we knew, and he started getting me over to Ken Chertos,
right.
And he started getting me exposed to them, and that's when like Nathan Galloway and AJ Shop was in there, and I'd roll around with Nick Roberts and Tyson Dippery, roll around with those guys, and that's when I really started liking it. I started seeing the intensity of the sport and how. Was wondering how good I could become. So that's what really drove me, because I wanted to be like those guys. I seen Penn State college wrestlers coming in there, and I'm like, I want to be them someday. So.
Now you changed schools in high school, ended up at Benton.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about how that happened, and you know what it was like to finish your high school career working with the Hugheses and those kind of people.
Yeah, they're really good guys. I started out. The summer before I moved, my dad was looking at a new job, and finally we were thinking about moving in about 7th grade, and my dad didn't have any seniority in the place where he was moving to, and finally in last 2 years ago, my dad was saying, in the summertime, he said, you want to do this, it's a serious thing, like it impacted our entire family, and he said, you guys for real about this? I said, yeah. He said, well, I got seniority, we can make the move. So we finally did, and Russ and his dad, Scotty, they made me make so many jumps, and I'm grateful for that. I know I would not be at this level right now if it wasn't for them, and just all the tools that they have given me, and it's a lot easier when you have tools to work with like them. It really helps.
Now, last season you weren't able to wrestle in high school, so you went out and kind of kicked the butt of the world in freestyle. And talk a little bit about, that season, about winning all these events, being able to go to the World Championships. Was there a huge growth for you during that process?
Yeah, mentally I think was the biggest thing. Forced me to mature a lot, get something taken away from you that you kind of take wrestling for granted sometimes. You kind of expect it's always going to be there. You never really think, oh, I'm gonna break my arm, I'm not gonna have the opportunity to wrestle or something. And so sometimes you take it for granted, and you gotta realize it's not always gonna be there for you, and you gotta make the most of every opportunity when you have the chance. So that was last year. I realized right after the decision was made I wasn't allowed to wrestle. I realized that you can't change anything. There's no use crying over it. I remember Russ pulled me into his office and was telling me, "Are you all right?" and asking me how I was handling things. And I said, "I'm all right." He said, "Make the most of this year. We were looking forward to the next event." I knew I didn't have high school states or anything, but I knew my next event was high school nationals in Virginia Beach. So that was my next big event. And then he said, "You're gonna go right into freestyle." And I was getting my teammates better for the state championships. I was kind of helping mentor them, kind of help coach them, and that really helped a lot too. Just like helping them, watching what they were doing on the mat, seeing their mistakes. Because when you're out there competing, you don't always notice what you're doing wrong. Or what other people are doing wrong. So you're picking them apart and you're seeing, "Oh wow, I do that too. I do that wrong too." So that made me make some big jumps that way as well.
World Finals of the cadets. You're representing the country. You got a Russian.
Yeah.
High-scoring match. Tell me how that match went and why it was that you got to hear the national anthem as the world champion.
Yeah, it was real exciting. Actually, my first match was against an Iranian, and that might have been my toughest match, honestly.
Sure.
I dropped the first period to him, and I was like, "Wow, this guy's strong." I didn't really cut that much weight for it. I was like, different feel. It's a different feel. Russ, when we were preparing for it, my coach was telling me that these guys give a different feel. He said, there's gonna be some things that they do better that you're gonna just have to feel out through the course of the match. So he took me down first period, and second period I was up 1-0 with 10 seconds left, and he was in on my leg, and I did something I never did before. I did a split and flopped him, pinned him, and that kid ended up coming all the way back, taking third. I had back-to-back matches the next two, a kid from Kazakhstan, some kid from another country, and then in the finals I got the Russian, and I didn't want to lose to a Russian. I knew that right before I even knew who the kid was. So I dropped the first period, and he got my leg clinch, and came to the corner. Zach Esposito and Coach Russ were telling me, "Hey, you're doing fine. You're breaking the kid." He said their mentalities, they wait till the last 30 seconds to start picking up the pace. So he said, "This next period, you got to pick up the pace the first couple minutes." And so I'm like, "All right." Went out there. I did exactly what he told me to do. I just kept pushing forward, kept making him make some mistakes. I capitalized on him. And last 10 seconds of the first period, I was down. I hit a double leg, and he flopped me. And so I was down. It was 3-3, but I was down by a point, so I needed to score. And I just went for it, and ended up busting my head open pretty good. I had to get some staples after the match, but after that, I knew I was breaking them because I just felt it. Third period, felt real confident with it, and was real happy when the result.
Yeah, no, world champion. That's really an amazing feat. Obviously you finished strong with your final year in high school, and you're still competing now. But talk about the academic part of this award, about being involved in your community, about representing your school and your family well. Obviously, there are a lot of great wrestlers, but you've been able to put it all together.
Yeah, that was the other part of the award with your community service and the schooling. Same thing my dad said ever since I started wrestling. He said, school comes first. So I made sure that was my priority all the way throughout my career. So I made sure I got good grades. I had distinguished honor roll all throughout high school, just taking honors classes, getting the best I could be in school as well as wrestling. So happy I could do that as well.
Why Penn State?
Why Penn State? I was looking at other schools, and Penn State was close to home, and it had all the tools that I wanted. The Saracens are good guys. Casey Cunningham just seemed like a good experience. There's good practice partners in the room. I mean, they have a regional Olympic training center, so I don't gotta travel far for that. And the schooling, they had I'm going into business. They have a really renowned business school, SMEAL, I'm going into. June 26th, I'm heading out there for some summer classes. So it had the whole package for me.
So how cool is it to be around all these Olympic people and great wrestling leaders and athletes and coaches here at the Hall?
It's really neat. You get to see some people that I've never seen before, but you watch online, watch some of their matches, and you're like, wow, you're just in awe. You want to be them someday. So you get to see them now. It's awesome.
Well, congratulations on this great honor, and have fun tonight. It's going to be a great evening.
Good, thank you.